Welcome to Coffee Havoc number 2. So, if you don't know the drill, you gotta know the drill real quick. I'm gonna do a tribute to my father. I'm gonna do this martial art tribute. It's not gonna be an extremely long tribute, but I'm gonna do some martial arts to honor my dad. You know, but try not to do anything fancy. I'm gonna talk about my father while we're here. Alright, so my father's name is James Edward Williams Sr. He is no longer with us. He passed away 11 years ago in a car crash. It was my car. He crashed right after my hip replacement recovery. So I hadn't been out of the hospital more than maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I got out of the hospital maybe 2 months before he died. I can't remember. I know I had my surgery in December, and he died in March of 2015. Alright, so this was what he called the Jesus stick. Get a good look at the Jesus stick. So we're going to honor him by using the Jesus stick first. Alright? If you ever get into a fight, a bow staff has range. So you might want to learn how to use it. Now, if I'm using this stick, you're going to get a taste of the Holy Spirit. Because this is supposed to be the Jesus stick. Although, if anything, it would be more like Moses, because Jesus didn't have a beard to drag this far down. I don't know who made the stick, but I know he brought the stick. So, if you have this kind of range, you have enough range to keep people at bay. If someone can get past your defenses with this bow staff, you kind of deserve to get your ass whooped. So, also, I'm going to state this. You don't have to agree with it, but I'm going to state it anyway. If you have a bow staff, it's more than likely you will never have to really use your feet unless you are basically attacking. But while you are defending, this is your range of defense and attack. So you should be able to boom, 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 boom. Somebody's throwing a kick, boom, catch him in the gut, catch him in the shin, bow, bow. It's not going to be that difficult. Now, multiple attacks, you may have to use your feet or swing wild. They come through here, they know some shit. Also, in a fight, you'll probably never do this. So don't do it wrong. Trying to fight somebody. Strike, strike, strike. Now from this side, strike, 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 strike. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Here, and then it's 3 feet. Make sense? Or, boom, boom, boom. Now you know why you don't roll. See how I'm going to just stick myself out? Okay, so this is Mulai. I haven't brought her out in a while. Gotta fight with swords. You should also not have to use your feet. But in some cases, your feet will be necessary. You can block with the sheath. Stab. Now this sword ain't for stabbing like talking about it. Watch and learn. So it's more for fencing than stabbing. Say goodbye to Mulai. This katana and my other katana will always have a special place because my dad bought them for me. This came from Bubba's in Richmond. So, if you get a good look at it, sheath. But this is the stick. So, I'm going to say it's a prop sword for all that is holy. But even a prop sword in the right hands can be dangerous to whoever's wielding the sword. Now this should be a little dagger, but it doesn't come out. I think it's been welded in there. But if you're having a katana, this is a longer katana than the average katana. You strikes, thrust. You can do that. What you're not going to do is what you see in the movies. One wrong slip, off with your own arm. Boom, 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 boom. Close range. Your sword, because even a prop sword can cut you. Don't think for a New York minute that you can't. Watch your legs. God knows you don't want to come slice off your fucking knee while you're training. So, if you're going to train with a sword, watch your stance and train this way first. Blocks, strikes, thrust. Before you ever try to do some dumb shit like this. Now that shit looks cool on camera. I promise you, in real life, it'll take a miracle for you to pull this off fighting somebody without cutting yourself or losing a limb. Now, normally I go into my old routine, but before we do that, because you know I will, little axe, big axe. We're leaving them in the sheath. Now funny I said little axe, big axe, right? Watch this surprise. Look how small that bitch is. And compared to that, this one's a little bit bigger. I guess you might need a side-by-side comparison. Roughly about the same size. But yeah. Do not train with axes without having them in the sheath. Also, it behoove you to learn how to fight with an axe just in case. And don't try to be Abraham Lincoln the vampire hunter. Alright? So my dominant hand is usually my right hand, so I'll put the big axe in my left. And I know what you're all thinking, why would you put the little axe in your dominant hand and the big axe in your left? To compensate for fighting skills, train more with your non-dominant hand. Alright? Boom, 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 boom. Versus boom, boom, boom. To the side of second nature, boom, boom. You're not going to be doing that in fights either. Okay? Because that's going to happen. You get into a fight with your axe, clap, whoop, that's it. Pull it in, pull it out. Pull it in, pull it out. Block their attack here. Stab, stab, stab. Block, stab, stab, stab. You will never, ever in your life get a chance to do this. Block, stab. That way, it's always going to be block, stab. It's never going to be block, stab, spin it, and stab it. No. You're going to die. Alright? But for some reason, the Velcro on this bitch doesn't work. So now we'll get into the same old. With these commas, which is exactly why you won't be doing this shit. Block, stab, pull out, whip. Yeah, that's for movie shit. In real life, it's always going to be block, stab, 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 stab until you can't. In the movies, you're fine with this. Block, stab, pull back, whip it, and stab it. Alright? But that's for movie shit. And I would love to work that out with a fight choreographer so that we can make a really good movie. So you fight with combos, block, kick, stab, stab. Now, in case you missed what happened, let me show you again. I blocked. This hand's on the outside. This hand's the easiest one to whip around and stab. This hand I have to work harder because this hand was still right there. So block. Push off, I can stab, I can block, kick, and then stab. Because this is the closest weapon to the person that got kicked off. Alright? Now if I'm doing karate, block, push off, kick, stab. Now I know you're thinking, what? Alright, look. For Kung Fu, for everybody who does Kung Fu. Kung Fu is about directness. Karate is more about power. A lot of people aren't going to agree with that. I don't give a damn. I'm not getting paid to make you agree with something. I'm getting you out the truth so that you don't get dead when you think you're a badass. You know, blah, boom, boom. Correct. Blah, boom, boom. Incorrect. It's not that difficult to know truth. Blah, boom, boom. Correct. Blah, boom. Pull out. Now, if you watch that, you'll see this bitch all the way over here. When I whirled it back to do that, if the blade goes in your arm, you're going to bleed out. Which is why it's always block, stab, 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 not block, stab, pull out, whip it, and go there. And you see how it hit me in the gut? You don't need that. Now, we're going to use our imagination and turn my commas into tampas. These are no longer blades. Thank God these things are woods, I wouldn't have thumbs. I'm an outside to inside guy. Some people are inside to outside guy. Don't clear the breezeway, you break your own rib. Which is why it's always safer. Block, strike. Block, strike. Make sure it's not coming from that way. See, I'll show you the difference. Block, strike. Now what I should have done was the actual block. Block to the outside, strike. Again, block to the outside, strike. Now if you're going to block to the inside, and you're going to strike from the inside, you're pushing your luck. Block, strike. Alright? Now sometimes you'll have an option because fights don't always work like you think they do. You know, so you strike and block, boom, that's me. Block, boom, that's someone else. Block, boom, that's me. Block, 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 opening. You know, you gotta wait for an opening. So block, strike, boom, boom. That pretty much is gonna do it. Because these motherfuckers are solid wood. If they were tampas instead of these practice commas. So block, 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 block. Now multiple opponents with tampas are going to be a little bit difficult. Boom, 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 boom. You're going to have to learn how to figure that shit out. But until you do, train responsibly. So I got these little spikes. For those who train with daggers. These are never to leave your hands unless they're going into your opponent. This shit right here, if somebody else has a dagger, you better believe while you're doing this dumb shit, they're going to throw their dagger in you because you weren't ready. Because you were too busy showing off. They also do have spikes that you can train with. These are plastic so no one's got to get hurt. You want to train with them like you're fighting with a knife. Boom, boom, boom. Also, this is your central boundary. With these things, close combat. That's so that this little windmill looking shit that looks corny as hell is going to keep people when they're jabbing in, and you're stabbing in the hands, in the arms, you're stabbing in places that's going to stop them from hitting you. Looks corny as hell? Sometimes what looks corny may be what saves your ass. I got spikes. Boom, boom. Alright? Boom, boom. Yeah. So now, karate block. I'm in, I'm blocking, I'm countering. Kung Fu block. Block out, punch in, that's still karate. Block out and then strike, here's your Kung Fu. Boom, boom, versus boom, boom. Or versus boom and boom. Alright? Now, I'm against blocking on the inside. Alright? And that's mostly because of the Kung Fu training is always block and get to the outside. So if they're throwing this punch, and I did this, their arm is between my spikes, I can break the elbow, snap it. Now, I want to make sure I do something that's going to keep me from getting fucked up. But for Kung Fu, it's always get to the outside. It's outside, strike, stab. Everything is right at the opponent. It's right there. So I'm going to be with pinpoint accuracy on what I do with the opponent. Not going to ask questions. I'm going to do what the fuck I need to do. Now, he's squaring off, and I got spikes, and he has a much larger weapon like a sword. I need to have my A game straight. He's got a sword. He has range. These are not going to be good against a ranged weapon because I have to get in to use them. Then you gotta bend the rules a little bit. So you're the guy with the sword. I can't get in because I know you got a sword. So, woo, that wasn't supposed to hit the machine, but there you go. That's if you're running at me. Hopefully I didn't break anything. Looks good. But you get the gist. You're not going to be throwing your spikes. Now, drop your spike, the other guy has a weapon, you are now down a weapon. Alright? So, we know what not to do the next time we make a video with spikes. Thank God they're plastic. Alright. Chobos. Now, the thing with chobos is that you're going to fight with them, they're not going to leave your hand. You line up to fight the guy, this is not what you're going to do. That's why. You get your chobos, and he's sitting there like this, you're going to sit there like this. You know, block posture the T, block posture the X, so that push off, strike, push off, strike. Alright? Or push off, kick, boom, boom. Now, if you come up in the fight and you pulling this bullshit, you're going to hit your hand. Bam! And what happens if you drop it while whirling it? Now you have no weapon. You're going to fight with chobos and do Kempo. You got to take that shit serious. These motherfuckers can break your fucking hands. Solid wood all the way through. These aren't exactly solid wood because they were formerly kamas that I trained with and broke the motherfuckers. Now, you'll strike, boom, boom, boom. It's not block, boom. No, that's just gonna get you killed. It's always block, boom, 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 boom. You know, you want to keep, once you get the block and the strike, if he doesn't block that bitch, he comes in from getting hit, it's over for him. He just keep hitting. Boom! He's cringing over. Boom! 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 You do not stop until he drops. Once he's down, it's done. If you're in competition. In real life, he's not down until he stops moving. When he stops moving, you're good. Do not kill him. Just make him wish he was dead. Boom, boom, boom. 9 times out of 10, when you hit somebody one of these motherfuckers, it's pretty much going to be different depending on their pain tolerance. That's me hitting soft. That's me hitting hard. And that won't even full force. That's not how it's going to sound when it hits flush. You can barely hear that, depending on my computer mic. That shit's going to hurt because I'm pretty sure I just bruised my arm. Understand it. That's a solid weapon. When that son bitch hits you, you gonna fucking know it. You go up in there, oh, I'm a badass. I'm Rambo, bitches. Yeah. It only takes a split second for this to become a tragic mistake in the battlefield. A split second is a lot quicker than you think. All right. We're getting down to the end here. So, your nunchucks. Alright? Well, your nunchucks will come last. This is your chain. With this chain, you ain't got nothing but range. And I got this at the halfway point. You gotta learn how to control that chain. How to stop it before it stops you. Now, mind y'all, I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. And you and I can make a mistake. So you want to be careful with that. These are training chucks. They have protective rubber on them. In my hands, Still deadly weapons. Understand, when you hit this, you saw that? See how it comes back? Yeah. So when you hit someone, follow all the way through. Hand positions. This is short range, medium, and long. Long range strike. See how I go through? Mid range strike. More importantly, short range strike. When did y'all see the difference? Put the fucking block up. Know why? Because see, if I go through here and it goes that way, we're good. Unless I completely miss the guy, then I'm fucked. This is mid range. You know, still good. Blocks at the ready. But this short range. This bitch is more than likely to come back faster at you short range than it would long or medium. Now, I'm also a short guy. And again, 9 times out of 10, if you have a weapon, you're probably not going to lead your feet. So, you know, boom, 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 boom. All of this is short range. Because I have more control at short range. Now I'm going to move up to long and medium. Still at short, now I'm at medium. Nope, that's long, excuse me. Okay. There we go. Medium range. See how it doesn't have that strong flare? That's medium range. See how I got hung up? That's my trademark. Gotta be careful with that. Here's long range. You have absolutely no real grip unless you got some serious grip. So I always recommend medium and short or find that fucking sweet spot. So short range, you're really up at the pommel, and medium range is right here, and you can transfer back and forth through there. Please don't think of that as a sexual manner. But, you know, when you're here, and even here, you got a little bit more flair and control versus when you here. When you here, you definitely got to follow through. Yeah, it'll give you the distance, but you also got to worry about that shit coming back. Also, remember, for your safety, if you're going to use practice chucks, only use them when you're training this way. I also don't recommend it because if you miss, say goodbye to your 3 best friends, you also deserve that shit. You ain't never going to use that in a fight. You also ain't going to use this in a fight. You're not going to get the chance to do this in a fight. That's just training purpose. When you get into a fight, the only things you're going to ever be doing, boom, 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 boom. That's it. You can throw your feet involved, boom, boom, boom. You know, but this shit here, no one's going to give you a chance to do that. Because while you're doing this, trying to build up some momentum for absolutely nothing, somebody's going to be coming in to fuck your shit up. When they're coming in, boom, you know, that's great. Boom. But if it's more than one, it's going to be a little bit different. Boom, boom, just keep swinging. Versus keep returning back to this position. Boom, boom, boom. Too much time. Boom, 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 boom. See how long I can wait it to pull that off? Count the strikes before I go back. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Alright? And see how I banged around me? Could've fucked myself up. With the real shit. So, now we also try to go consecutive strikes without doing this shit. Alright? Other than when I switch hands. Boom, 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 boom. Everything else, this is for fun. This is fine to train at home. It also gives you a feel on what these bitches feel like when you're hitting someone else. difference maker is it's not hurting you as much until the adrenaline breaks off. Alright, last lesson for today. As we tribute my father. And I shut the shit down. And then I started all up again for a TikTok. For a 10-minute video. Bound fighting. I also gotta blow my nose because it's running. Alright, so I'm gonna state this. You're gonna try anything I've done so far at home, especially if you haven't been trained. And if you gotta fight with your hands bound, this is the only thing you're gonna learn from me. How to escape. Understand it's easier to escape with your hands in front of you versus your hands in back of you because your restraints can be used as a weapon. Now, unless you are clairvoyant, that's not the word, contortionist, I can't do that. I'm not flexible enough. So, we'll start with the hands behind us first because I'm only going to teach you basics to escape. Alright? For the record, this is my right, so it's probably your left. This is my left, so it's probably your right. If I say left, my left means I kick my opponent this way so I can go to my left. Alright? If I say right, I kick my opponent to the left so that I can go to the right. Because those are the most important things. Location on how to get the fuck out of there. And if you're lucky, you're never going to have to fight multiple opponents. I don't feel like going to get the tomato garden things. So we're just going to go with what we know right here. Alright? Because I have showed many videos multiple attack patterns of multiple things with your hands tied and how to deal with that shit. The reality is really simple. Your hands are tied, so you are pretty much fucked, especially if you don't know how to fight. But in the events that you do, it's better to fight smarter than it is to fight harder, unless you have no choice. Knowing how to use these in front of you as a weapon is a hell of a lot better to be tied in front than in back. Police also know that. That's why they generally handcuff you in the back, because somewhere between the 70s and the 80s, motherfuckers got slick. Alright? So, basically is this. I do two types of kicks to escape. Both of them are crescent, inside or outside kicks, depending on where my fucking door is. For example, that's my right. I need to go to my right, so what I won't do with the guys where you are running at me is kick him this way, because that puts him in my direct escape route. We don't want to do that. I need to go to my right, and I want to do a crescent kick from the outside to in. I'm going to use my right leg. Boom! I'm going to send him this way. I'll pop my hips over here, and I'm going to make a break for the fucking exit. Alright? Same thing if my exit is on the left. I'm going to kick him with an outside to inside crescent kick to my left. Boom. Now I'm going to go this way. The reason for that is that bought me time. I want him away from the only way I have out. Alright? Now, if my door is to the left, I do not want to do an inside to outside crescent kick, which is this. Boom. Because that puts him in the direction. If my door is to the right, again, I don't want to do an inside to outside crescent kick. It puts him in the direction of my escape. Because now I'm going to have to engage this motherfucker, and I just pissed him off because I kicked him in the face. So, that is a hell no. My door is to the right. He's coming at me. I'm looking at that door. I'm not looking at that door to let him know. He's probably thinking I'm going to kick him that way. So if he kneels the right way, bam! He kneels into a kick coming up. His body goes this way. My body goes this way. Now, what I just did was a fuck up, but if I'm already right here, it's simply just to turn this way versus to do a whole 360-degree turn. That's why I covered that up with letting you know that was a fuck up. He's coming right at me. Alright? Pay attention. He's right at me. Boom! You see where I landed? That's the correct way. But in the heat of the situation, Is there really a correct way? We'll do it one more time. Boom! Now see how I landed? That made it a little bit more easier for me to go that way. But let's say I land like I did before. It's going that way. Boom! Now, simple way is this. Unsimple way is to turn all the way. Fuck that shit. Now when you're in a situation, things are going to be different. Now what we're now going to do with your hands tied is a jumping spinning back kick, tornado kick, and a butterfly kick. And I'm not going to demonstrate any of those. Not while my hands are tied behind my back. You can search my YouTube videos and see them. But if you need one more kick because you have both the inside and outside pressing kicks. Now you have the front kick and the axe kick. Alright? They're almost relatively the same. This is the front kick. Boom! You know, you want to target the chest and the sternum. So your assignment, if you're watching this video, is when you take a drink of water, should stop somewhere in here. That's your primary target. That is kill zone number 2. Kill zone number 1 is here. Kill zone number 2 is here. It is where the chest and the stomach intersect. Alright? Because your real stomach is up here. Your intestines is right here. You want to get a body back. Your liver's over here. Both your kidneys are somewhere in there. And your intestines is in front of all that shit. So you want to get right sear center mass. And you want the heel of your foot here. And the ball of your foot up there if possible. If you can't because of range of motion, then you want the ball of your foot right in here. And the heel in his belly. So it'll boom! You know, and your range of motion is important. I have no range of motion with this leg because of my hip replacement, which is why I was in therapy to get this bitch up to speed. It's not up to speed as you can tell by my movements. But it's survivable. So that if I get to fighting, I can seriously fuck somebody's shit up. Now, again, the reason why you're not going to do this, see how it throws up my balance? Same reason why you're not going to do a tornado kick or a reverse tornado kick or a spinning back kick. This is the reverse tornado kick. If I go down, please don't delete the video. Make it go viral. This is a reverse tornado. Okay? Now, a regular tornado, you have ways of building into it. And some of us have to build into it versus just being able to pull the shit off. But, again, this throws off your balance. You are not safe doing any of those kicks. And no, I'm not going to attempt to bust a butterfly kick. But understand that those kicks in themselves, while your hands are tied behind you, are more fatal to you than they are to the person you're going to attempt to use them on. Now in the front, this is where the advantage is also yours. Now you don't have to panic that much because you have the one ability that I didn't show you behind you. And I'm going to go back to that in a minute. But here you have the ability to block and use this thing here as your weapon. Boom! Throw! You want to catch him in the throat. Boom! You want to lock it? No, you don't. Because it's not going to work like the movies. You can lock it, but they still have another hand free while your hands are still tied. And you guys are going to be getting drugged around depending on how big your opponent is. I ain't got time for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Kung Fu. I'm going to bat him to the side, I'm going to knee him in the gut, and I'm going to elbow him in the fucking head somewhere. Now if I'm going to do karate, I'm going to bat him to the side, I'm going to put him with my knee in the gut, and then I'm going to use the opposite hand from the opposite knee because that's going to give me the power and torque I need to drop it. But I got to figure out how to make this hand work simultaneous with this hand. So again, we're going to go to karate versus Kung Fu. Karate. We're going to do a Kung Fu knee first, and then we're going to switch to karate. So he's coming at me, I bat him, I knee him, there you go. You see how my hand still stood there? I have to be able to make this hand as limp as possible, but generate enough force with this side to go down. That's that karate thing. This would be the Kung Fu one. So I block, I knee, I elbow. It's all one. Sorry, my alarm just went off. Anyway, we're at the end of the video, basically. So, again, with karate, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be on the inside, and I'm against that, especially if the guy's bigger than me. So I'm going to do a Kung Fu block to get him to the outside. I'm going to use a knee. And I'm going to use this hand because it's the opposite hand and it gives me the torque I need to come down on this motherfucker. I might not get that chance if I do it traditional karate because he's got a free hand. So he's throwing a right punch. I block. I pull, and his left hand is hitting me in the face. And if I got a glass jaw, I'm going to fucking sleep. With Kung Fu, he throws a right punch. I get to the outside. Outside, I can pull him and throw my knee, and I come down with that elbow. He's over here. He has to go across his body to fix this problem. The same problem I had with karate. If I block here, I'm gonna have to block here before I can do any kind of strikes because he has 2 hands and 2 legs, and I only took out 1 out of the 3 options that he has. With Kung Fu, I eliminated the process by taking to the back side of it. Boom, boom, boom. Or I can change it from Kung Fu to karate in a split second. Boom, boom, boom. Yo, you'll figure it out because once the battle starts, there's no do-overs. Once it starts. And whatever happens next, well, that's gonna be your funeral. Thank you guys for watching. To my father, I love you, I miss you, and I know you'll never see this, but to everyone who knew my father, he was a better man than I'll ever be. I have 2 younger brothers by him, and 1 older sister, and a stepsister by him. And I know they'll never see this video either, but to the 4 of y'all, I do love you. I'll deny that shit in court. Echo Fang Grey Wolf out. And that didn't work out the way I planned it.